Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, June 5th, and it's time for a TXA market update. Bitcoin is right on the edge. Can it break out? I think it can. I've been waiting for it a long time. We've gotten multiple attempts. We've been rejected. Now we reject it again with a higher low. We've held that level. If we don't break out to the upside, we could see some pretty heavy bleeding pretty quick if people give up. But if we do break out, we don't have any resistance above this point. Bitcoin has never seen a price higher than what were we over here, 73,794, so just under $74,000. So, we're not far off from a new all-time high. And if we break through, that could be some significant momentum. ETH, of course, near its local swing high, but not its all-time high from back in 2021. A lot of people think Ethereum is going to go higher this time around, especially with the ETFs and everything. The F Bitcoin chart, you can see they bounced off that 382 again. Now they're sitting right above the moving average. So it's hard to say at this point. There's still no gaps on the CME futures chart. The DXY is cooling off, which should give Bitcoin a chance to go up. That's what we would expect. The DJI and the S&P recovering nicely. The S&P actually pushing a new all-time high, so that's not cooling down any. Dominance has pulled back just slightly in the last 2 days, but overall just pretty much steady. So the entire market kind of moving together. And as I look at some of these other charts, there's Coin, Nvidia, brand new all-time high again. Jeez, just thinking about in just a couple of weeks over here, another 40%. That market cap has to be insane now. SQ finally coming back. It's closed the gap entirely. Will it bounce off that point? Still early to tell. And Amazon sticking up in the air. Now, before we go through all of our top charts and our open active trades, and I talk about Jasmy and what I have hopes for in the weeks coming ahead for summer, let's check in with a few different pieces of news out there. Options traders are anticipating imminent breakout above 74K. Look at that, to new record prices. They expect a rally between 74K and 80K by the end of the month. 1.5 billion worth of shorts are concentrated around 72K that can be liquidated. We're right about there. So definitely a chance to pop up above there if we slide on through. So you can see futures trading increasing, ETF inflows spiking. So possibly a short squeeze coming. And that could be the momentum to propel us up to get us finally to that, here we are, new price discovery, Bitcoin's on a bull run type of action. Van Eck also sees Ether hitting 22K by 2030. That's huge. That is what is that, 5 times? Can you imagine ETH hitting 22K? That would be all the way up here above my 1.618. Now I'm just curious, is there a leg off of this swing low that has a significant flow of money in that we could measure? And maybe it's not on Coinbase. Maybe we can get it better on Binance, because we might be able to see the volume flow better. And maybe even, I hate to do this, but maybe we'll see it better on the tether charts. And so there you can see that's the same spike we saw in the other ones, not really a spike of buying. The biggest spike of buying was down here. And you didn't get a solid pullback until here when the volume started to show up. So we could measure from down there and see what we get. That's one spot we could check. So from here to that first leg where it rejected, really the strong rejection is there, and pull back. Now, isn't that interesting? That's kind of scary. Oh man, because the 1.6 got hit. The next big target, big run target after pulling back to an almost perfect 786, 618 hit is 26K, which is right under that 22K area. Well, that would be a pretty massive 6 times, so 500% move. If Bitcoin did that, we'd be all the way up in some ridiculous level. Now, I don't think Bitcoin's going to do that. I think ETH could outperform Bitcoin, but I do think ETH could do that while Bitcoin does a good 60% move. Totally plausible. Totally plausible. Now, if we do that same pull, this would be a fun experiment. Let's do that same pull here off of that March bottom where we got that inflow. That was on that second tap there. That was actually on halving day. And I can see the high for that day was 9945. So right about there. Not quite the same correlation, but you can see 97K or so is there on that 2.6. And just so you can see this a little bit clearer. There we go. So you can see some confluence there between the 3.6 of the local extension and the 4.6 lining up with this 2.618. So 97K. So that may be Bitcoin. And you can see they creeped up over the 1.6 the first time they broke it. So maybe the 2.6, they break over it and come back down. So very interesting. Okay, let me get that off because I don't want to get too excited. Okay, there we go. So definitely interesting, Van Eck bringing that number up. Bitcoin miners with attractive power contracts are potential merger and acquisition targets for JP Morgan. So very interesting to see them talk about potentially taking over mining contracts, power contracts. I could see a big miner with a good power contract getting taken over and having the mining stopped and getting switched over to running AI infrastructure for data centers. That could happen. Very interesting. And then IOTA kickstarts EVM. So those are virtual machines targeting DeFi and real world assets that allow you to run smart contract virtual machines, Ethereum virtual machines on IOTA's ecosystem. So definitely a nice little development. Did IOTA get any kind of bump from that? I got IOTX, but not IOTA. So let's check at IOTA. Did they get a bounce on the news? No, nothing. It's very interesting. And where is IOTA in the mix of things? Well, pretty hefty pullback to the 786. Maybe we'll have to dig into that one more later. Now let's talk about Jasmy first. Jasmy has been kind of the blueprint. Jasmy was the first one that did this fantastic 100% breakout move first, and a lot of other coins followed. And Jasmy now, since our original entry, is up 10 times. So the goal now is, where can we find this type of a chart that has come back, given most of it off the bottom. So off of its low, this chart came back 66%. Well, technically, okay, it was up 200% and they came all the way back down to being up 5%. So the majority of that move was given back. Vast majority, 95% of the move was given back, only to skyrocket even higher. So there's some interesting things to note about the structure. The first one is this kind of V-shape dip, followed by a bit of a rounded shape, kind of a cup and a handle type of a pullback. They pulled back 50% of the dip, and then they just blasted off, formed a triangle, and then blasted off again. And when they did the pullback off the cup and handle, it was a bit of a wedge before they broke out and blasted off. So that's kind of our blueprint. So as we go through, we want to find charts that look kind of like that. And you can almost see that here already in Algo. There's your point. There's your big curved bottom. There's your triangle. Break out and pull back. Now, Jasmy, after the triangle, just kept going. Algo did not do that. They came back. But we took an entry on the pullback to hopefully catch that move on Algo the second time around. Cello, you can kind of see it. Here's that V dip, the rounded, and then the condense pullback. So we've got the same situation on Cello. There it is on Doggy. I'm going to see it everywhere now. V, curve. This one didn't get quite a bit sloppy, but then they shot off out of there and did that 100-200% move, and now they're kind of condensing. So now they're kind of stuck in a sideways area. And this starts to look like Jasmy on this consolidation here. Whether you see it as like a triangle or a sideways consolidation. They got stuck, they did some stuff, and then they broke out. Well, that's kind of what this is starting to look like, doing some stuff. So maybe doggy getting ready for a nice little 70% move up to that next level. Engine, there it is again. V, curve, triangle, take off, come back. So now we're sitting in that one waiting for that move. But this is all over the charts. So very interesting. This one doesn't quite have it, but it has that kind of double bottom. There's that triangle and the breakout, and then it keeps going. This is the condensed area on Jasmy before it breaks even higher. So INJ might even be ahead of Jasmy. That's an interesting thought. Okay, so now we've got IOTX, and you can see it's kind of, but not really the same. There it is on Jasmy. There's that point, curl, pull back, and take off. KDA, there's the dip, the rounded, the pullback, no takeoff, but we got in it waiting for the takeoff. KMD looks different. I mean, this is a totally different look. If you were to find that spike, then you almost get another one before the rounded bottom, and here's the pullback. So this is kind of looking like a bit of a triangle or a wedge pattern here. Perhaps a breakout ahead on this one. We'll have to wait and see a little bit. KNC, poke, curl, there's that thing we were looking at, and pulled back. So definitely all over the place. Ooh, our link trade is doing pretty well. Little pop up. We're about 20% up. We'll keep an eye on that one. You could probably pull your stop up now to about 20%. You're still behind that 382. Loop ring. There's that spike. This is where the rounded bottom should be, but we don't quite get it. There's that condense and that move, and now we're kind of moving sideways into the trend line. So hopefully this one will get going for us. Litecoin looking almost like Komodo. Very similar to Komodo there. Very interesting. Metal kind of falling off the face of the earth there. Neo has that double bottom structure, and there's kind of that pullback here. It just hasn't really gotten going. So we're just kind of sitting in this one waiting for it to really get going. Poly, kind of. You can kind of see it now. Now I know I'm looking for. There's that spike. Here's more of a rounded part. Here's where we condensed and then we broke out and got going. So can this one get going further? It remains to be seen. Power. This is something I wanted to talk to you guys about because I was digging through looking for Jasmy like charts. And the more I stared at power, the more power looked to me very similar to what we see on Jasmy. Now there's some differences. Jasmy we dropped in from above. Power we kind of came in from below. But there's that big spike, big rounded bottom, trapped right at about, and I'm going to measure this now, the retracement from the bottom to the top here. Right at about the 5618 area. That's where I would expect it to see. On Jasmy, they came back to that 5618 area. If I'm measuring, I can do it over here. Right? There's that 50. They held it stronger on the 50 on Jasmy. But I can see it. I can see it. There's that possibility. They went into it. They break out to the upside. So I feel really good about this power entry. If you're not in power and you've been looking for something to get into, you're looking for it to break this line of resistance here. It just hasn't done it yet. But if you're looking for one that has a good shot, that's set up nicely, that has support below, it's double bottomed essentially after coming up out of the hole, and the pullback is nice. You can see all this volume. It's definitely getting attention. People are loading up on it. This is one if I didn't have a trade already on, I would be making a new call on this one. So if you're not in power already, if you missed it, you didn't miss anything, you can get a slightly better entry. Your stop should be all the way down behind that 236. So if you got in an entry now, your stop should be somewhere below 24 cents. So somewhere in the 23-cent area would be a good place for a stop with an entry now. This is one that I could see it doing the Jasmy move and making it the full 10 times. So if we borrow kind of this pattern here off of Jasmy, let's see if we can do this. The bars pattern. So here's where it kind of pulled back and then it took off. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Will it let me bring it over to another chart? Yes, it will. Beautiful. So let's kind of compare here. If we fit this into this triangle area, this is really what it's going to take, because here's the breakout. What do you know about that? I could see it going all the way up there. Let me look at back where I stole this from Jasmine. So this is from just before the peak. So if I'm looking at just before the peak, that would be this. And I'm expecting it to peak up into that area there. So there we go. That's about as close as I'm probably going to get it. And what do you know about that? I wasn't even looking up here at the fib hits. I mean, that's phenomenal. And that's 10 times at this point. If power just decided to break out and go absolutely nuts and then pull back, I mean, that would still be a 60% pullback. That is a huge bullish move with the sideways locking people in upside down disappointment for 2025, end of the year. Could it happen? Absolutely. I don't want to get you too hyped, but if you're not in power, this is as good a shot as anything right now. Sand, there's that V. This is where the curve would be. This is that triangle pullback and it never got going. So sand, you could try if you really wanted to. I'm not going to go deep into it. And synthetics, we took a chance on. So that's kind of where I'm at. Power is my Jasmine in training chart. I really want to see it do this type of a move. It would be phenomenal. So hopefully you guys can take advantage of that. Again, I'm not giving financial advice. It is your choice whether to take that trade possibility. I'm not making any guarantees it will work, but I can tell you I have taken a chance on it, and I could see a lot of possibility. If Bitcoin breaks this out and gets going, any of those alt setups could begin and could go with a fury like we haven't seen since 2017. Now, the other course of action is that Bitcoin rejects here, heads back to the 2.6, our trades get stopped out, and we reset our expectations and our trade ideas. For now, this is what I'm looking at. This is where we're sitting. I think we're in a good spot. Let's see if Bitcoin can do the breakout and get the hype going. Let's see. If you have any questions, reach out in Discord. I'll be back at the end of the week going into the weekend. Thanks, everyone, for watching. See you all next time on the TXA Market Update.